Hey folks, want to come on here and shoot a quick podcast. This one is going to be a solo effort and about 15 minutes long. It is going to be a bit about Dublin City. I wanted to talk about this, especially around the Christmas season. If you're thinking about coming to Dublin, or in general, I already discussed a bit about Ireland, so I wanted to talk about Dublin itself. I thought I'd leave my glasses off. I'm not 100% sure I'll put them on. Maybe I'll leave them on, or maybe I'll take them off. Maybe leave them off the moment. But yeah, by the way, Merry Christmas if you're out there. It's Sunday, the 14th of December. And I'd just like to say I will be relocating to Sydney, Australia, all going well the next few weeks. And it's pretty sad what happened in Bondi. So I won't get into too many details. But yeah, I just want to say for anyone out there listening in Australia, I know there's some listeners there, that I hope everything is okay. You feel safe, or psychologically safe, and that you feel as though you can find a community there, or maybe reach out to someone if you're in shock. I know there is quite a big Irish community too, and maybe people in the UK, Canada, and the US over there. So I just thought I'd mention that. And yeah, just to the victims and the victims' families, it must be very distressing, a lot of stress. So I thought I'd mention that. And yeah, I suppose we'll get into the podcast a bit about Dublin. I'm not sure if I'll upload this today, just with all the events, but maybe I will. And yeah, I just thought I'd do a quick mention about Sydney. Just quickly into the podcast, just 15 minutes. I want to keep this as positive as possible. I don't want to allow that sort of hate and negativity to bring us down. So, what is on your mind today? I'm on ChatGPT. I just want to, for those of you who don't know, just let me go into this a bit. Dublin, Ireland. There is a few Dublins around the world. There's Dublin, California, Dublin, Ohio, Dublin, Ireland. We're talking about Dublin, Ireland, by the way. And so let's get into it a bit. Overview of Dublin, Ireland, the city that you mentioned. There's a YouTube video link. What is Dublin? Dublin is the capital and largest city of Ireland, located on the east coast at the mouth of the River Liffey and bordering Dublin Bay on the Irish Sea. It's a political, economic, cultural and historical heart of the country, as well as its chief port. Key features: historic and modern blend. Dublin's core features medieval and Georgian architecture alongside modern developments. River Liffey, the city is divided north and south by this river, with many attractions on both sides. Major parks: Phoenix Park is one of Europe's largest park enclosed urban parks. Culture and attractions: Dublin is known for rich culture life, literary heritage, UNESCO City of Literature. One sec. UNESCO City of Literature, home to writers like James Joyce and Oscar Wilde. Historic sites: Dublin Castle, St Patrick's Cathedral and Christchurch. Museums and experiences: National Museum of Ireland, Guinness Storehouse, which we already talked about in the podcast. I think it is a brewery experience. We mentioned it on episode number 7 with Swish Goswami, and number 23, Guinness. I also mentioned they're opening up in London at the moment. I think it's already open, 15th, maybe tomorrow. There's a Guinness Storehouse microbrewery. Guinness London opening. Guinness Open Gate Brewery in London. On the 11th of December, yeah, it's open its doors to the public, so it's already open by now. 54,000 foot visitor experience. Microbrewery cost Diageo £73 million to create, and opens its doors to the public on the 11th of December. Hopefully that's correct. You may have to double check. Yeah, back to Dublin, Ireland. Viking/medieval history, seen as Dublina Museum. So we'll get into the history of Dublin in a sec. Social scene, 4 minutes in. Pubs, music and crack, which means fun in Irish, I think. To double check that. I'm pretty sure crack means fun in Irish. I know this, I just want to double check anyway. For anyone listening in other countries. Yes, crack, pronounced crack, is Irish slang for fun, good times, lively atmosphere, and enjoyment involving good company, laughter, stories, and music. But it's deeper than just a fun. It's a cultural concept of shared good vibes, often used in phrases like "What's the crack?" "What's up?" or "Good crack," "Good fun." More than just fun. Social scene, pub music, and we talked about that. Dublin's pub culture and music are central to its social life. There are over 750 pubs where live music and social gathering thrive. Transport, public transport, buses, Lewis Light Rail, and commuter trains operate around the city. Many travellers use a Leap card for fares. Dublin currently lacks a metro, making transport coverage sometimes challenging compared with other major European cities. The economy and global role of Dublin, real quick. Dublin is a major business and investment hub in technology, finance, and services. Many multinational companies base European operations here, supported by business-friendly policies. Climate: the city has a temperate maritime climate, mild winters, cool summers, and regular rain throughout the year. Local perspectives: many residents appreciate Dublin's vibrant life, green spaces, and friendliness, though topics like housing costs and transport hassle are commonly mentioned. Local options vary widely depending on personal experience. As we talked about in the previous episode, it has two triple credit business schools, just to continue with the theme of business. Trinity Business School, and Smurfit Business School, which is 1% of business schools globally. I think triple crown of business schools. I think 1% of. Last double check, by the way. Elite Group, less than 1% of business schools worldwide, holding 3 prestigious international accreditations: AACSB US, EQUIS, in case you're looking to study here, Europe, and AMBA UK. I don't get sponsored to say that, by the way. The Triple Crown signifies world-class quality, rigorous standards, global recognition, enhanced career opportunities for graduates, and schools like UCD, Smurfit, Trinity, and DCU in Ireland achieving this status. I didn't realize DCU as well. Excuse me, DCU Business School. That must be, I correct myself, I didn't mean to miss that. So there we go. That's on Google AI Overview. So perfect. We added that in, all going well. And what else? Yeah, a bit about Dublin. Let's talk about the history of Dublin. Here's a clear, concise history of Dublin for its origins today. History of Dublin, Ireland. Early origins. Prehistory to 9th century. The area of Dublin has been inhabited for over 5,000 years. The name Dublin comes from Dublin, meaning black pool, some referring to a dark tidal pool where the river Poddle met the Liffey. A nearby Gaelic settlement called Áthaclia, Ford of Hurdles, was an important crossing point. Number 2, Viking Dublin, 9th to 12th centuries. Vikings founded Dublin around 841 AD as a fortified settlement. It became a major trading hub, dealing in goods and enslaved people across Europe. Dublin was one of the most important Viking cities in the Irish Sea region. Number 3, Norman and English control, 12th to 16th centuries. In 1170, Anglo-Norman forces invaded Ireland. Dublin became the centre of English rule in Ireland. The English-controlled area known as the Pale was based around Dublin. Medieval landmarks like Christchurch Cathedral date from this era. Number 4, Tudor and Stuart period, 16th to 17th centuries. English monarchs strengthened control over Ireland from Dublin. Dublin Castle served as the seat of English administration. Religious conflict grew after the English Reformation. The city expanded, but power remained in Protestant hands. Number 5, Georgian Dublin, 18th century. Dublin flourished and became one of Europe's largest cities. Grand Georgian architecture was built, still visible today. In 1801, the Act of the Union abolished the Irish Parliament in Dublin, leading to economic decline. 6, Nationalism and Revolution, 19th to early 20th centuries, Dublin experienced poverty, overcrowding, and disease. The Easter Rising of 1916 took place in central Dublin. The Irish War of Independence, 1990 to 1921, followed. Dublin became the capital of the Irish Free State in 1922. 7. Modern Dublin, the late 20th century to present. The city grew steadily after independence. The Celtic Tiger economic boom, 1990s to 2000s, transformed Dublin. Today, Dublin is a modern European capital known for tech, culture, education, which we talked about a few of those, and tourism, alongside challenges like housing and transport, which we already spoke about. Historical legacy today, you can still see Dublin's history in Dublin Castle, Christchurch, which we already talked about, St. Patrick's Cathedral, Trinity College, Georgian Streets, GPO on O'Connell Street, 1916 Rising. If you like, I can simplify a few different things. And yeah, we are 10 minutes in. There's also a thing out there which I learned about over the last while. Let me get into two different things. Over a break, I kind of just had time to research two different concepts. Let's look up the population of Dublin. I did earlier, I think it's 1.3 million, but it varies because it's Greater Dublin as well. So let's get into Dublin City and Dublin. Here are the most reliable population figures for Dublin, Ireland. Dublin City 2020 census, that's the second time. The official population of Dublin City, the area governed by Dublin City Council, was about 592,713 people in the 2022 census. Population from census 2022 county level, according to the Central Statistics Office, CSO, County Dublin, which includes Dublin City and its suburbs, had a population of approximately 1,454 in 2022. That's 4 or 5 million, if I round it up. 1.5. Greater Dublin / metro area estimates. Estimates for Dublin metropolitan area urban region around the city in 2025 put the population in around 1.29 million. Super interesting. So there's a difference here. Dublin City 2022 census 592,700. Hopefully that, yeah. County Dublin 2022 census 1,458,000. Metro / Greater Dublin 2025 1.29 million. What these terms mean: Dublin City refers to the core city itself. County Dublin includes city and surrounding areas like Fingal, South Dublin, Dún Laoghaire, Rathdown. Greater Dublin area, GDA, and metro areas cover even wider commuter zones. Let's look up the best places to. We already touched on this. There's two or three more things. 1250. So. We already talked about just some of the best places to visit when you get here. Historical and cultural sites. Trinity College, Dublin. We already talked about this just briefly. Book of Kells, Ireland's oldest university. The Long Room Library is iconic. Dublin Castle, former seat of British rule, central to Irish history. St. Patrick's Cathedral. We already talked about this. Ireland's largest cathedral, founded in 19. Sort of like the cathedral in Barcelona, or I suppose Notre Dame, but it's a lot smaller. I think it's a lot smaller, definitely than the one in Barcelona. Probably than, I need to double check Notre Dame, but probably. Ireland's largest cathedral, founded in 1191. Christchurch Cathedral, medieval cathedral with Viking era crypts. We're 1338, so maybe we'll run a bit over. Classic Dublin experiences. We talked about the Guinness Storehouse, Dublin's most famous attraction, finished with views from the Gravity Bar, Temple Bar area, lively pub, street music and nightlife, touristy but fun. Jameson Distillery, Bow Street, whiskey tasting. I haven't been there yet. Kind of love to go, but I haven't had a chance. And Irish distilling history. I don't think I've been. So yeah, maybe one day soon. Wait and see. Maybe, yeah, or in the future sometime. Museums and galleries, mostly free. 8 National Museum of Ireland, Archaeology, Bog Bodies, Celtic Gold, Decorative Arts, and more. National Gallery of Ireland, European and Irish art, including Caravaggio. We're going to run over 15. Hopefully it's okay. 10 Epic, the Irish Immigration Museum, interactive museum about Irish global history. Parks and outdoor spots, 11 Phoenix Park, one of Europe's largest city parks, home to wild deer. 12, St. Stephen's Green, beautiful park right in the city centre. 13, Howth Cliff Walk, short trip from city, coastal views. seafood and fresh air, literacy and local highlights. 14, GPO, General Post Office, quayside of the 1916 Easter Rising. 15, Kilmainham Jail, or Gaol Jail, I think it's jail, GAOL, former prison tied to Ireland's fight for independence. 16, Grafton Street, shopping, cafes and street performers. Quick recommendations: 1 day, Trinity College, Temple Bar, Guinness Storehouse. 2 to 3 days at Kilmainham Jail, museums, Phoenix Park, Moortime, Howth, Coastal Village, or Wicklow Mountains. Create a 1 to 3 day itinerary. We're over 15 minutes, but hopefully that's okay. It's where I'm living at the moment, so I thought I'd get into it a bit. Recommended for families. Free attractions if you're on a budget. I think most of them are free. 20% or at least 80% of them could be free. There's also the Crow Park Museum, which is pretty cool. I remember going there as a kid. Yeah, for free, we already talked about the National Museum of Ireland, the National Museum, National Gallery, Phoenix Park, Ivy Gardens, Grand Canal and Royal Canal Walks, Christchurch Cathedral, St. Patrick's Cathedral, GP Office, Halfpenny Bridge, Trinity College Campus, Temple Bar, street performers on Grafton Street. Free day trips, short train ride, Howth Village and Cliff Walk, Dunleary Pier Walk, Bull Island and Dollymount Beach. Morning, Trinity College, National Gallery. Afternoon, Stephen's Green, Grafton Street. Evening, Liffey Walk, Halfpenny Bridge, Temple Bar. We already talked about some example itineraries. This is over 15 minutes. Please be okay. 16:24 or so. We already went into some overview what you could do. This is just an example 1 day free Dublin itinerary and 2 day one. You probably look this up yourselves. So the important things I haven't actually mean to cover yet. There's 1 or 2 things and we're slightly over, but again, no one's putting pressure for it to be under 15 minutes, so it's not a big deal. It's only me putting pressure on myself, which is never mind. Just put out for 20 minutes. One day free Dublin itinerary. Morning, Trinity College campus, walk the historic university grounds, National Gallery of Ireland, free art collections right beside Trinity. We already talked about this. Late morning, Grafton Street, enjoy performers and atmosphere. St. Stephen's Green, relax in the city's most famous park. Afternoon, National Museum of Ireland. There's probably archaeology. See, we've already seen this. We already went into this. Viking treasures, Celtic gold, Temple Bar area. Explore colourful streets. No need to buy drinks. No need to buy drinks. Very interesting. I think you meant to buy drinks. Evening, Halfpenny Bridge, walk across at sunset, Liffey River, Liffey Walk, stroll along for great views. Wouldn't be my thing, strolling along for great views, but just thought I'd mention it. We won't go into different itineraries. We'll talk about something that's really interesting, the livability scores. First is a Dublin. There's three things I'd like to cover. I said 2 or 3 things before we finish. Probably going to keep this under 30 minutes, which is okay. Comprehensive. Is Dublin the wealthiest city in Europe? We've talked about this before. No, Dublin is not the wealthiest city in Europe overall. I thought it was. Interesting. Let me just look it up on, because it was. Maybe it's changed. I haven't told anyone out loud, I don't think. Maybe I mentioned on the podcast a few months ago. Maybe it's changed. General. We already talked about some of the events on here. The NFL was here this year. The GAA, the Gaelic Games, is on here in Crow Park. The college football. There's so many things. St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, that's for another day, getting into all of that. But yeah, I just want to do overview. It depends what you mean by wealthy, but Dublin is often ranked as one of the wealthiest regions in the EU, particularly this is in Gemini, when looking at specific metrics like GDP per capita, which we already talked about on the Ireland podcast. You can go and check it out. Number 30. Let's go back to, in summary, Dublin is undeniably a major European economic hub and may top the list for GDP per capita due to multinational operations. It is not the wealthiest in terms of overall economic size. Total GDP, the figures, which is interesting, for standard of living, adjusted income, or compensation are highly debated. I thought it was. Maybe it was earlier in the year. Well, there you go. No, Dublin is not the wealth. This is ChatGPT. Dublin is not the wealthiest city in Europe overall when you consider all wealth measurements, but it is one of the richest in certain key economic metrics. Here's how it breaks down: economic size versus wealth per person. Dublin is one of Europe's largest and most, we already went into that, economically powerful cities with a big GDP thanks to tech, finance, and multinational companies. Some analysis show Dublin's GDP per capita, which we already mentioned from Gemini, a key measure, which is Google's product, which we talked about on the last episode. If we go to number 44, talking about this, a bit about the Ireland episode too. For example, Eurostat data 2025 shows that Dublin region had one of the highest GDP per person figures in EU, surpassing Paris and other major regions. Maybe that's it. Some wealth rankings list even put Dublin around second in Europe by GDP per capita, just behind Luxembourg City, depending on methodology. Super fascinating, that. But it's not the wealthiest in all measures. Ranks of overall wealth that combine metrics like GDP, number of millionaires, financial assets, or cost of living often put cities like London, Zurich, Geneva, or Paris ahead of Dublin. Dublin has few high net worth individuals per capita that many wealthy European capitals, even if it's high relative to some. Summary: Dublin is one of the wealthiest one of the Europe's richest cities by GDP per capita and economic output. This is the third time we've mentioned it, so I won't get into too much more. Often ranking near the top depending on how wealth is measured. It is not universally the wealthiest city in Europe across all wealth indicators. Other cities often outrank it in total wealth, financial assets, or number of wealthy residents. So that's interesting. I want to talk about livability scores. Livability is something I came across as well. We're way over 15, so let's get this up 30. We're 22. Livability scores. Dublin, Ireland. Or Dublin City, maybe. We can talk about maybe the inner city as well, with livability scores, or maybe just Dublin City. Here's a clear overview of Dublin's livability and how it ranks on global quality of life and livability livability indices. Let me check this. I'm not going to look at the pronunciation. Maybe I just need a bit more food before, so maybe I'm just a little bit tired when I shoot these podcasts sometimes later in the day, so maybe do it earlier. Indice, plural, compared with other cities. That's how it ranks on global quality of life and livability indice compared with other cities. Number 1, Mercer quality of living 2024. Dublin's global rank 43rd in the world for overall quality of living 2024, 26th out of 38 Western European cities. This rank comes from Mercer's annual quality of life survey, which looks at factors like safety, housing, environment, healthcare, education, and infrastructure for expatriates and residents. Top cities in this ranking are places like Zurich, Vienna, and Geneva, which consistently score very high. Number 2, Global Livability Index. According to broader rankings, the Economics Global Livability Index, Dublin has appeared in the top 40 worldwide, though the exact number changes year to year, e.g. around 39 out of 140 plus cities in 2024 after dropping several places from prior years. I'm going to presume, maybe I won't presume, I just, these indices consider, or indexes, consider categories such as stability and safety, you have a snack, healthcare, culture and environment, Education, infrastructure, Vienna has often been ranked the most livable city in the world in recent years. Super interesting. Number 3, quality of life, details. By the way, I think, just shout out to Sydney, I think they're quite high on livability. Just, I know they're going through a bit of a tough time after what happened in Bondi. Well, I don't know personally, but only from seeing some of the footage that emerged from some news outlets. Last time we'll talk about this. I want to keep things. Yeah, I think they're 6th overall. Sydney, the Economic Intelligence Index. Sydney ranks high, 6th. Healthcare 100, education 100, stability 95, infrastructure. Maybe we'll talk about that another day about Sydney, so I won't get into too much. We'll keep this sub 30. Quality of life. Again, I think it's on different index compared to these. Quality of life, numero. Nubeo's crowdsourced data shows Dublin's lived experience in different categories, updated November 2025. Overall quality of life, high. Index 156. Purchasing power, very high. Cost of living, high. Safety, moderate. Healthcare, moderate. Climate, very high. Traffic commute, moderate. Pollution, moderate. This means Dublin is very strong in earnings and lifestyle potential, but expensive to live and not among the safest or cheapest European cities. Interesting with safest. I know I had someone mention, is Dublin safe to go to after some of the things that have happened over the last year or two. Just won't get into now, keep this positive, but I think, I think it could be safe. I don't know. You may have to look it up before you go, but I think it's, it says it's moderate here on one of the, so yeah, I feel quite safe. But again, I'm a 30-year-old male that's maybe 100 plus kilos, so yeah, it could be different for everyone else. Summary of Dublin's livability: strong economic indicators and lifestyle, high purchasing power and overall quality of life. Cost of living and housing are pricey compared with many European cities, often a common concern. Mid-range rankings globally, around top 40 to 50 in quality of life. Quality of living surveys and mid-tier in Western Europe. I could have done this maybe under 15 minutes. So Dublin is very livable city, but many international standards, but not at the very top in Europe, especially when you consider cost of living, housing affordability, and infrastructure issues. Last thing, Dublin as a financial hub has a lot of potential. We already talked about derelict Dublin as well. The business, because we're kind of getting in about business entrepreneurship. I think Dublin has a lot of potential. Some people think it is with Silicon Docks. I think it's a big tech hub, which kind of is, but I think it has more potential as well. Dublin is one of Europe's leading financial centres, especially important for international banking, investments, funds, fintech, insurance. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting a call. One sec. Gateway. Why Dublin is important financially. Gateway to EU. Dublin is the only English-speaking financial centre in the EU after Brexit. This makes it as attractive to companies serving European markets. International Financial Services Centre, IFSC, located in Dublin Docklands, home to banks, investment firms, asset managers, insurers, and fintech companies. Over 40,000 people work in financial services in Dublin. Number 3, global companies. Many major financial institutions operate in Dublin, including JP Morgan Chase, Citi, Bank of America, State Street, Barclays, HSBC, a number of hedge funds and investment managers, key financial activities, investment funds and asset management. Dublin is one of the largest fund domiciling centres in the world. I think I got that correct. Banking and capital markets, insurance and reinsurance, fintech and payments, aircraft leasing. Dublin is a global leader in this niche sector. Reasons companies choose Dublin: low corporate tax rate, high educated workforce, strong legal, and we talked about that with the business schools and other universities, strong legal and regulatory system, pro-business government policies, access to EU markets, global standing. Dublin consistently ranks some of the top financial centres globally, often compared with cities like London, Frankfurt, Paris, and I think it was 14th, forgive me if I'm wrong, in the top financial hubs in the world. Where does Dublin rank in the top financial hubs in the world? It says different here. Yeah, in March 2025, the GFCI Dublin ranked 14th globally, showing stability, and was EU's top centre for asset management, 7th globally. In GFCI 38, September 2025. Another report from May 2025 placed Dublin around 14th. GFCI 37, while later in September 2025, index listed it at 20th, demonstrating a minor movement. Key strengths: strong. This is on the Google AI overview. Strong regulatory framework, significant presence of the top financial firms, 22 out of the top 25 leadership in aircraft leasing, which skilled workforce. EU position: Dublin is a major EU financial centre, ranking highly. We already talked about this. Yeah, nearly on 30 minutes. I think we're going slightly over. I'm just super excited talking about Dublin, Ireland, because I've learned a lot being here for the last 4 years, taking a break here, so I wanted to take the time to mention it. Over 15 minutes, but yeah. Anyway, kind of gets the thoughts out here. I'm kind of looking at about Dublin. Yeah, while smaller than London, Dublin is highly specialised and influential. Challenges: we already talked about this: high housing costs, pressure on infrastructure, competition from other financial centres. Conclusion: Dublin is not the biggest financial centre in Europe. We already talked about this. One of the most specialised financial hubs, a leading centre for investment funds and fintech, an EU financial gateway. Super interesting. And the last one, there's something else that I'd like to talk about. I know we're just slightly over 30 minutes. Livability, just one financial hub. And I'll be kicking myself if I don't. Talk about tourism, what to do here. Talk about its history. There's one more thing. Again, I'll try to keep this under 15 minutes in the future. There is one more thing. Excuse me with the camera. What else with the Dublin? It will come to me. If not, I'll do a separate podcast on it. Derelict Dublin, which you mentioned, which is super exciting. I saw an article in the Irish Times, the business section, about. So I'm not sure when it. Let me just look up the article. Early 2025, the Irish Times published numerous articles on Dublin's derelict buildings, highlighting the paradox of empty properties amid a housing crisis, with recent prices early 2025 focusing on specific empty sites, renovation challenges, call for actions, tax break grants, opinion pieces, decrying the blight on the city, suggesting solutions like carrot and stick approaches to bring these buildings back into use, even featuring personal stories of renovating derelict homes. Key themes in the Irish Times article: the Houses Rising link. Articles consistently connect derelict to Dublin's housing shortage, questioning why so many properties remain empty. Specific locations: features often spotlight derelict buildings on the north side, e.g. Dorset Street, and south side, e.g. Ainger Street, Ringsend, showcasing examples of potential. Call for actions, opinion piece, and reports advocate for government intervention, new regulations, tax incentives, and increased developer/public body responsibility. Renovation stories. Personal accounts detail the difficulties and the cost of renovating derelict properties like a housing in Harold's Cross or a red brick in Ringsend. Systematic issues. Some articles delve into why buildings are left vacant, speculation, planning issues, and lack of incentives, and advocate for treating derelict as an antisocial act. Related content, topics appear across news. Very interesting. Thought I mentioned about derelict Dublin. Yeah, and I suppose the one thing to take away is Merry Christmas, first of all. And if you're coming to Dublin, this is a pretty comprehensive overview, a bit about what I would do if I'm here, and I suppose where to stay. I'll maybe do another podcast. There's hotels, there's Airbnb hotels around Dublin City that you can stay. I'm sure there's plenty of reviews that you can look at. Yeah, Merry Christmas, and wanted to talk about Dublin, Ireland. Thanks for listening.